UndergroundVideoNetwork.com presents the We Talk Too Much podcast.
This is where the fun begins.
Comic books, superheroes, sci-fi, gaming, and everything nerdy.
That's it. This is just too weird.
Now, here's your host of the We Talk Too Much podcast, Mike and Richard.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Underground Video Network's We Talk Too Much. I'm Mike Boruff.
I'm Richard Katterjohn.
And we have a special guest in the... We can't even call it studio anymore, Richard. I'm still completely lost what to do. We are joined by our friend Frank James Bailey, whose voice you may recognize from the beginning of the show. Frank, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm just kidding. That's not my normal voice. I just do that for the stuff. But I'm doing okay. Doing pretty good. You know.
It's sad, Richard. I got to thinking about this because Frank worked. I think we talked about this before. Frank works for a company that works for my factory. So sadly, I see him in person more than I've seen you in this last year.
No, we don't really talk a whole lot. We're just like, oh, hey, hi, bud. Oh, hey, bud. You know, usually it's just that, but
that's still
we talk.
I've seen you in person more. I've seen you in person more probably this last week than I've seen Richard all year.
Oh, really?
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't think we did anything this year. There was no conventions.
Mm-hmm.
The
only convention I did last year in 2020 was the Cleveland Wizard World. That was it. After that, everything went downhill.
Yeah.
We was going to do that, but there was complications, so we didn't go. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only one that was open for me. After that, everything went downhill.
Everything started to go here. All the cons and virtual appearances and everything, which is great because there's a lot of people that are doing the virtual cons that I probably never would have been able to see in real life. You know, like the entire cast of Smallville and guys like them are doing them. So it's fun to be able to see them live still.
Well, here's an interesting question. Do you think it's oversaturation with the virtual cons yet? Or is it we're getting to that point or not quite yet?
I don't know, Rich. What do you think? Because
I think it's time for the real ones to kind of come back. I know the smaller real ones are coming back, or I shouldn't say real, but the non-virtual ones are really starting to happen. I know Jesse's got his smaller shows up and running now, and I know he just announced Gem City for in July.
Okay, I didn't notice that. Yeah,
third weekend in July, and Space is.
I saw Space was up.
Second weekend in July. Sorry, Bob. I can't remember off the top of my head. I wasn't really talking about conventions, but yeah, Space is going to happen. But I'm sad to say I don't think my Kenton Comic Con is going to happen. I just don't feel.
Might have to wait till following year after that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to wait another year because I'm trying to wrap up school. This other school I'm doing now and stuff. So I don't know. I just think I'm going to wait. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, the veil of 2020 hasn't quite lifted yet. You know,
there's a small peak there. You can see a little bit under it.
I think we can see the light at the end of the tunnel now, but you know, hey, at least we've got a lot of quality TV to keep us occupied. You know, the cons and everything start up, and I think the big one that we got to mention. And I'm sorry, Richard. I've worked on this joke since last night. It's a dad joke. You're going to hate me for it, but I got to do it. So we are, of course, we're going to be talking about WandaVision. We're going to have heavy spoilers. So if you haven't seen it yet, I suggest you wander on over to another podcast.
Bum. Oh, there we go. Okay.
I apologize for that one, Richard. But man, I thought of it last night after I got done watching the first 2 episodes about what to talk about, and it popped into my mind. And I was so enamored with that horrible joke, I wrote it on a Post-it note. I'm like, I'm not forgetting this gold. I am not forgetting this gold. But yeah, the first 2 episodes of WandaVision.
Amanda's here saying hi.
God.
How's it going, Amanda?
You're welcome to wander on over to your own podcast. Oh, this is going to be a running thing.
Wander on over and look the other way.
I wonder who could have made that comment. Oh, I got him banked, buddy.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Remember, we have to read the comments for the audio podcast.
Oh yeah.
We didn't do that last week, Mike.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it's still new to me too that that we're able to do this and transfer it over to the audio, because I've gotten better in the habit of not doing like this. See this? This is amazing. I wish you all could see this. I've gotten better about that.
Yeah.
Doctor Who mug.
Yeah. But yeah, the first 2 episodes of WandaVision dropped last night. And I was really, one thing I'll say, I was really glad that they dropped the first 2 together. And say what you will about the show. It is one of the most unique things. I would say the most unique thing that Marvel has done yet. It is unlike anything else that they've done so far. And it was a pretty bold step of them to go in that bizarre direction.
Now I had to watch them twice because my initial gut jerk reaction was the first one's a little slow. I mean, I'm in my 50s, and that's a show out of the 50s. So I'm like, I'm kind of familiar with it. I get the jokes because my grandmother watched I Love Lucy, and she watched My Three Sons, so I kind of idea. And then the second one was a little bit better. But then when I saw a couple of videos referencing all the little Easter, and then I had to go watch them again. So
the one I caught right away, because I grew up watching. I wasn't old enough to watch them when they first came out, but I watched a lot of Nick at Night and everything. Was the classic Dick Van Dyke moment?
Yeah,
where I grew up watching that rerun, and during the opening credits, Dick would come walking in, and he was a very physical comedian even for the time. And during the opening, he would fall and stumble over that ottoman that was in the living room.
Almost every time, yeah.
Yeah, there were some episodes, where they threw it off the audience a little bit and they had him sidestep around it.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was a really nice, it has nothing to do with the Marvel Universe at all.
Yeah.
But it was a really nice little nod to show him, Vision phasing through that ottoman. I right away, I was like, I see what you did there and I like it.
Yeah.
But you are right, though, Frank. I agree. That's the reason why I'm really glad that they released the first 2 episodes back to back, because the first one was good, but it was a very slow build. It was just kind of establishing that they were in a world that was outside of the known Marvel universe.
Yeah. Plus, I watched a video. I think it was today. I didn't know what the sword things were. They're part of some alliance or something for out. Kind of like SHIELD is in America, or at least on Earth. But this alliance where the sword is, I forget what they're called, but they're actually in outer space.
Yeah,
actually, I think the MCU one's going to be a little different.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's actually necessarily aliens. I think it's because the W actually stands for weapon. The toy got released. A picture of the toy got released, and they replaced it with weapon instead of whatever it originally was. I can't remember what time. I had this prepared.
I'm almost certain it was World. Because I remember, because I read the X-Men comic books, because it was during the Joss Whedon run,
right,
when Sword got introduced, and it was pretty much like Frank said, SHIELD took care of the Earth, and Sword took care of everything outside of the Earth, and everybody speculated about Sword at the end of Captain Marvel when we see Nick Fury up on that spaceship.
Yeah.
Overlooking the Earth. That was the first thing me and a lot of other people thought was SHIELD may be down, but we're seeing the precursors to Sword.
Mm-hmm. Plus, you see some of the other Easter eggs, like in episode 2, in the box makes them disappear. The front of the box. Was this?
Yeah.
I noticed that was one I noticed right away.
This was a very Easter egg ridden series.
Mhm.
And I'm like you, Frank. I had to watch it twice. I had to watch each episode twice because I found myself the first time watching it, I was going into it over analytical. Like I was eyeball, and I'm like, no. Time out.
Mhm.
Watch the show, enjoy it,
Yeah.
then go back and pick it apart. And there was
Well, like I said, when I watched the first one, my first initial gut reaction was, okay, am I too young for this? I mean, to remember half those things here.
Yeah,
I have a feeling that might have been why they put the first 2 episodes, because the audience of typical Marvel people who like this kind of stuff are probably my age or younger. People who are older, like in definitely remember those TV shows, but we might not. We might. Oh yeah, I kind of remember those.
Yeah, that was a bold thing for them to do, because considering a lot of the comic book generation are our age, but a lot of the MCU fans are
a lot
the younger generation, and heck, some of them might not even understand the concept of the show being in black and white. It's like, where's the
I thought that was pretty cool though, when she cut her hand and her blood was red, but everything else is black and white. Or when the helicopter was, the colors of Iron Man, but yet everything else was still black and white. Those are pretty cool effects. And the very end,
and it had the sword logo on the helicopter.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. Yeah. Those are pretty cool effects.
Yeah, and the little helicopter. I mean, there were a lot of Easter eggs, and already, like I visited my comic book store today, Alter Ego in Lima, Ohio. I mean, this is what makes not only really good TV, but a really good story is when you get people talking. It really reminded me of the early days before it went completely off the rails of Lost. Where the first couple episodes in, things aren't right, and then you realize that you should be looking for stuff to recognize. And then everybody had their theory, like, oh, what's the smoke monster? Why is there a polar bear? Everybody's already kind of giving their thoughts and theories about, where the direction of the show is going to go. I personally have mine. What was nice again about going to the comic book store was when I was talking to Alex, I told him my theory, and he tweaked one little thing about it, and then everything else just fell into place and made a lot more sense if it does go that way.
Okay.
But there were a lot of Easter eggs. Here's what my theory is. Again, disclaimer is. I think that the events that happened after Infinity War and Endgame have driven Wanda insane.
Okay.
Which we've talked about this. We've seen in the comic books before. And
I think that's where it's heading. But I actually think she's being held captive by SWORD in a made, like, sort of like what's his name's that one movie where he was being broadcast,
Truman Show,
yeah.
Okay.
Where like they made this, and then she's living out the way she wanted everything,
All right.
That was kind of the theory that I had too, Rich. Almost exactly the same, except I thought it might have been AIM that had her.
Yeah.
But that was my theory too. The only reason why I don't think it's SWORD that's keeping her is what I think is she's created her own world within, like her own Truman Show. And I think SWORD and AIM are both like in a race to come and get her.
Oh.
Because if you think about, especially with the helicopter, the little toy helicopter, the toy helicopter was, aside from being in color, it fit the time period. What I thought was the helicopter was it might have been like a drone or something. That was where the pounding was coming from.
Yeah.
If she's got a dome or something over, her world, that might have been, the drone trying to get through. And then once it went through, since she's created this world around her, it kind of changed the drone to something that fit the time period. Mm-hmm. But since it was still from the outside, it was colorized.
Yeah.
And I'll say the only reason why I don't think she's being held by Sword is the radio broadcast.
Oh,
yeah. Where it was, like, Wanda, where are you? Where are you? Where are you, Wanda? It made it feel like they were trying to get to her too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I saw in the video that when they were listening to the Beach Boys, the actual song was picked perfectly.
Perfectly. Help Me, Rhonda by the Beach Boys. Mm-hmm. Which, Rhonda, Wanda, they
pretty close,
very close, and they didn't have to change anything, or it was neat that they actually used the song and didn't like movie it up, like with like a fake soundtrack or something.
Mm-hmm.
Which goes to show, Richard, WandaVision already has a better soundtrack than Wonder Woman 84. Just saying.
Wonder Woman doesn't have a soundtrack, I don't think.
Yeah. But I think the other one of the big reveals, especially for people who are familiar with the comic book, was here's another reason why I think it's completely her construct, Rich, is when the beekeeper comes up through the sewer,
right?
Which makes me feel that they're trying to break into her world. And once they cross over, she transmogrifies everything to fit her reality. And as fans of the comic books know, AIM's uniforms, have always had the nickname the Beekeeper because they looked, the yellow, very blocky.
But he had a sword symbol on the back.
True.
That's why I don't think the AIM thing even plays into this. That's just me.
That's yeah. Well, here another reason why I went the AIM direction. The commercial for the Strucker watch.
Right. It was Hydra on the symbol, right?
Yeah.
There on the watch.
Right. Which, after Hydra was dismantled, even in the comic books, Strucker branched off and formed AIM. So that's where I was getting, because of all the suits to show them in, though, Richard, it could have been like a sewer worker or something, but it was the beekeeper. That was the big thing for me.
I wonder if we're going to lead up to the famous words that she says when she says "no more mutants." I wonder if we're going to lead up to that big moment in the comic book history.
Or the reverse.
Exactly.
Yeah,
more
exactly.
More mutants, and then all of a sudden, the whole part of the MCU.
Well, Deadpool for sure is happening.
Yeah.
It's going to be R.
It's going to be in the MCU.
It's going to be taking place. Yeah, so you got to have mutants. So
yeah.
That would be clever if they actually reversed it.
Yeah, if she snaps her fingers, like you said, Richard, she says instead of no more mutants, I want more mutants.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely, I tell you what, one of the moments that really got to me, that makes me, here's another theory that I have, Richard, that I think the reason why it's a construct of her, in her mind, is I really believe, Richard, that all the people that are within the show are real people that have been manipulated by her. You know what I mean? Like they're under her spell. Because the moment that really got me, and I was like, it really got me, was the moment when the Vision's boss and wife come over for dinner. The classic, sitcom trope, which I adore that entire scene. But it was when I keep wanting to call her Kitty because I know the actress from that '70s show. They couldn't have picked a better actress than Deborah Jo Rupp. Because as soon as I saw her, I'm like, it's Kitty. And I was just waiting for Vision to say something. You dumbass. But when her husband starts to choke, she's very deadpan. And you could tell it was like reality was starting to seep in because she had that one lone tear, and she was just like, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop, just over and over again. That had a very good horror movie vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
That they weren't there of their own will, but her reality, because of her, relationship with which was probably really her husband, was breaking through. I thought that was a great moment.
Very Alfred Hitchcock vibe for the area.
Yes. Very Alfred Hitchcock moment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I liked, did you notice? It was I wonder if they're going to do. I really do. I bet you they're going to do it for every episode. Did you notice how the opening sequence changed from the first episode to the second episode? It was flat out Dick Van Dyke in the first episode. And it was so Bewitched. I mean, even down to the animation style.
Right. Did you catch the little one that was in between the floorboard, the helmet?
Oh yes.
They passed through.
Yes.
Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Because in the Vision's comic book, the modern day one, Vision's wife kills the Grim Reaper and puts him in the floorboard.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what?
Well, I was just going to say that was another thing that they actually did right that they took from the comic book is from the most recent Vision comic book, where Vision wants to have a family, and they show Vision, and he creates a wife and 2 children, and they move to suburbia, and chaos ensues. So they keep it with the whole suburban feel from that comic book too.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the change to the Bewitched, yeah.
Plus, I think I read somewhere where in Bewitched, the first season was in black and white, but the rest of it was in color, or first 2 seasons or something. So it's kind of like, okay, if you're going to use that episode of that kind of, the first. At the very end of the second episode, it goes. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
And I'm wondering. I was talking to the guy at the comic book store today because already we've seen a little bit from the previews of the different time periods, but the first episode, like I said, was definitely Dick Van Dyke. The second episode was very Bewitched.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering which sitcom family show that they're going to model the next one after, and I'm wondering, what do you think? I don't think
she's pregnant, so Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that I noticed. It was one of those small Easter eggs I noticed the second time I watched. If you go back through and go back and rewatch it, twins are the concept of twins, not just people, but like the twin beds, the twin lights, everything was like
that was standard for the time frame though. Twin beds.
Well, yeah, but
they used to sleep like that in the real world. I mean, not the real world, but the TV world. They couldn't sleep in the same bed because it was against TV standards.
Yeah. But the concept of twins and like duality was very prevalent throughout the show too.
Yeah, the toaster in the first one had 2
slices of bread. And did you notice too? There was the first time that I noticed it. That was the first indication of any kind of color on the show. Was the blinking red light at the beginning?
No,
of the
I didn't notice that. Okay.
Yeah.
I watched it twice, but I just haven't, checked everything.
That's the Vision, I think, with the Soul Stone.
Oh, was it yellowish or was it red?
It was red.
Okay.
Yeah. And like Frank said, the logo on the magician's
magic box
was
yeah.
definitely the Soul Stone.
Right.
Another thing that I caught. Oh, go ahead, Richard.
Oh, no, I was saying are you talking about the stones? The moon sequence in the animated has all the gemstones around it.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. The other small little detail I noticed was, did you notice at the end, I think it was the first episode, when they had that very iconic sitcom moment where they're sitting on the couch together, and when the screen comes together like this, it's a hexagon.
Yeah. It's not a circle like I Love Lucy.
Right, but it's a hexagon. Hexagon hex. And if you know Scarlet, they never refer to it in the movies or in anything, but in the comic books they always refer to Wanda's power being hex. So I thought that was a nice, clever little nod too. I did like, speaking of Bewitched, I liked that when they showed Wanda using her magic, it was very fakey sitcom still style. Like when the plates are levitating, it wasn't like real life. It was like very, like you could almost see the strings. It was keeping with the feel of the show.
Of course, I like what she did with Vision when he started flying. She made the rope so it appeared.
That was so good too. That was, yeah. And I'm enamored with the concept that if Vision swallows chewing gum, he becomes drunk. I want to see more of that. That was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. He's a very sophisticated piece of machinery. How is gum going to do it? But then again, it's like 1960s, so yeah.
But it also makes you wonder that if he was, I just thought of that now that you mention that. If he was really the real Vision, it probably wouldn't. But if he was a construct of Wanda's mind, it would be a simplified version of that, and that would actually work. So now I'm even starting to question whether or not Vision, in some way, is just an illusion in her mind too.
To me, that would make more sense because obviously we know what happened at the very end.
Yeah,
gone. So
yeah,
but yeah, and it's like if she's kind of crazy, can't really deal with it, and she makes this whole thing up. Obviously, she'd make up something. So
yeah. I do. I still just think I'm under the opinion that like after the events, she went off, found some small suburban town, and just went snap, and like made this world around her. Kind of. What it even reminded me of too? The first two episodes really reminded me of Pleasantville.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because it was the overly sitcom reality. And there were moments where Wanda's non-sitcom persona started to leak through a little bit. You know what I mean? Where she broke the sitcom character, and she let a little bit of a realness come through.
The one thing I've noticed about this show and what we're talking about, it's like we know all these little clues will lead somewhere. Even in theory, we know all these little clues, all these things that we're given, they're going to lead somewhere. I was just watching, kind of just off the subject, just a pinch. I was watching Disenchantment on, and I like it, but there's so many things that were not resolved. And it's like, there's no things here. It's like, okay, does that lead to that? You're not going to tell me? I liked it, and it left me with a cliffhanger again, but it's like, would you give me some more clues? But see, with WandaVision, we know they're going to lead somewhere. With that, it was like, okay.
And Rich, we talked about this. I really like that they know it's going to be a limited run. That it's not going to be that there's going to be a beginning and there's going to be an end. Because like I mentioned earlier, one of the greatest examples of a show that went on for far too long was Lost.
Oh yeah.
Because even I've heard interviews with the writers, and even they were like, we planned for 2 seasons, and then they kept throwing money at us, and like we had no idea what we were doing. And it went from a brilliant, really psychological drama to just silliness. And I think that's one of the greatest examples of a show that went far longer than it needed to go. But at least now we know we have a beginning and we have an end. I mean, they might do another season later on, but for the time being.
And we know right where it leads to, Doctor Strange.
Yep.
Well, that's what I was wondering. So this limited run is going to lead to another show, or is it going to be another season, or is it just going to be this one season that's it? So, or do you know that?
Well, they haven't really said that, but we know for sure that the storyline goes straight into Doctor Strange.
Okay.
And then Doctor Strange is going to go right straight into Homecoming 3 or whatever they're going to do with that.
Whatever they call it. It's not Spider-Man 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're introducing the concept of the multiverse in WandaVision, and they're going to expand on it in Doctor Strange. And then I think we're going to see the payoff because of all the rumors and even set pictures we've seen of Spider-Man 3 that will definitely be like the dessert to the multiverse meal. Yeah.
Meal, yeah, exactly. Meal.
And then, like I said, the big announcement with Deadpool, you never know what they're going to throw in.
Exactly. If he would pop up in some show out of nowhere, that'd be pretty awesome. I thought just pop into one of the movies,
Honestly, it won't happen. I know it won't happen, but I would honestly like at some point during WandaVision for just in the background for like Deadpool to cross the street and like look dead in the camera and like what the shit and just like walk.
Yeah, that would be funny.
Or he's got like a 50s like a life preserver type thing with like
oh my god, he goes totally Marty McFly.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude.
That would be pretty funny.
And like strictly in the background where you almost like a blink if you missed it moment. Oh my god, that would have been genius.
Or like he's walking, he's like see 2 streaks of fire down the road, and he walks off.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty awesome. Go ahead.
Deadpool comes straight up to Wanda, and he's got the your kids, Wanda. I gotta tell you about your kids.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. Oh boy. Wouldn't it be interesting if he's the next, like Stan Lee used to be the cameo of every, I don't know, there's some things where Deadpool won't fit, but he is really well known. And it'd be kind of funny to see him in every movie.
I would be all for it. I would be all for, because I'd rather see that than them not do anything, because it having Deadpool do it would still be kind of like an homage to Stan Lee doing it, to have somebody, do it, it'd be great if the first one, and I don't think it would be disrespectful, but if they had Deadpool wearing glasses and like the mustache, like who'd you expect, Stan Lee, but then, but yeah, these first 2 episodes were, you really honestly do, you have to watch it a couple times because so much little stuff, like you said, the having the Stark Industries be the ones that made the toaster kind of solidified that it was still within the MCU universe. It wasn't like a tangent or anything, it was cemented in that universe.
Or one of the MC universes.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
Or the multiverses somewhere.
Yeah.
Ooh, pardon me.
But yeah, I still think the whole thing had a very feel to the old Twilight Zone episode. Was the one with the It's a Good Life. Remember when the little boy, like Franklin Richards, had the powers to control everybody around him? He made his own family. And it was in the movie too from the 80s. They
Yeah.
redid it because the
Yeah.
teacher got broke down or showed up there, and he kept her, and then she figured out how to manipulate him and keeping her on as a tutor, and stuff.
No, I remember that. I very remember that because that was still one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen to this day. Was when they show the sister watching TV and she has no mouth.
Yeah.
Dude, that still messes me up, man. No, I agree with you. Yeah, he's got these reality-altering powers. His family's terrified of him. They do anything and everything he wants, but he needed an actual parent, a parental figure.
Yeah, tutor. Yeah.
Yeah. It reminded me too of an early episode of the Twilight Zone where the people find themselves. They wake up in an abandoned, empty city or suburban community, and then come to find out later on that they were actually kind of like pets to an alien.
Yeah.
You know, it was like the dollhouse. You know, they were the pets to these alien creatures that were keeping them in this like little suburban terrarium. You know, it had that little bit of a feel to it too.
Now, see, I've never seen. I've seen bits and pieces of the Twilight Zone movie from the '80s. I'll have to go back and watch that.
Oh God, that is so.
I haven't
good.
seen all of it, just bits and pieces.
Yeah. Well, Steven Spielberg was part of that. You know, that was because he directed one of the segments, if I remember right, because he was like a producer and directed the segment. Yeah.
Still one of my favorite Dan Aykroyd things is when he's in the car with Albert Brooks. And Albert Brooks keeps they're driving along at night. He keeps turning the lights on, the headlights off. He's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to scare you." And Dan Aykroyd's like, "You want to see something really scary?" I love that moment. But there is so much to unpack on this show, man.
I want to add, if this was any other year, we'd be going to the theaters 2 or 3 times. But now, since we're kind of stuck at home, or at least trying to be safe, we have Disney Plus, and we're watching it over and over. You know, we had streaming, so that's almost a really good thing.
It really is, because I really think that this show couldn't have been done as a movie. It needed to be done as a 6 or 7 part series. There was too much story to unpack.
Yeah, I think what is there 8 episodes total in this?
I think so.
I don't know for sure.
But I like it being half an hour. We were just talking about that last week, Mike. Remember, everything's too long.
Yeah.
Perfect. This was like almost a perfect time frame.
I did hear that I think either Kevin Feige or somebody from Marvel said they liked what Star Wars did with The Mandalorian, how the first episode was a half hour, next one's like 35 minutes, next one's like 38 minutes. So yeah, the first 2 episodes are a half hour, but expect the next couple of them after that to be just a pinch bit longer and then a pinch bit longer.
Yeah.
So to kind of keep reeling you in. But yeah, the first 2 episodes were just a half hour long. You know? And
it also, the half-hour format fits in perfectly with the old-fashioned sitcom.
Exactly.
Yeah, because to try to mimic an old sitcom as an hour-long show would not have, not have worked.
Let's have a very special episode.
Yeah.
And then I love the fake credits for the TV.
Oh yeah.
We didn't talk about that.
Yes.
Because the director was actually the kid from Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's like I watched and I noticed the 2 names. Oh, it's Wanda. Then there's Vision. It's like, no, okay. I didn't really watch the rest of it. Maybe I should have watched the rest of the credits.
Oh, there's a whole thing on the one part they were saying about the Who's inspiration, all the writers or creators that inspired, and they had like all the creators from all the different incarnations of Wanda and Vision, even the new series and everything. So that's there. So that's going to be, everybody's been really influenced in this series, from the comics perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Marvel has mastered the Easter egg. because one thing we've learned from watching shows like WandaVision and the movies is it goes along with, you know, they did it in, you know, like the Flash and everything too, was pay attention to numbers. Because numbers are real important. Because the one thing I didn't know, because I found it by accident, because I was very curious about the watch, you know, the Strucker, you know, watch. This was one that even I didn't catch. Was if you look at the watch, the watch is set at exactly 242, which evidently, if you go back to the original run of the Avengers comic book, issue 242 is a very important issue with Wanda and Vision being reunited. And it was just like, damn, man. Damn.
All these good Easter eggs were peppered in very good.
Yeah. The one tangent I went off on, and it was completely unfounded. It was complete. But when I saw the red light flashing on the toaster, my first thought was flashing. I go, "Ooh, is that Morse code?" And I was like, "No, that was a dead end. That was a complete dead end. That one didn't make any sense." Yeah. It's spelled out MCU .. MCU.
Yeah.
And then there was a reference to 57 when the Vision's first appearance.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I've noticed about the MCU or whoever's making these and stuff, it's like almost every little detail means something, you know?
Oh, yeah. Because the one thing that I caught in the second episode, because it almost had like that Village of the Damned, the way they kept repeating it was for the children.
Right.
For the children. For the children. Even the banner for the magic show, it just said, you know, it wasn't for like Scottsdale Elementary. It was for the children. It was just repetitive the way they kept saying for the children, which really led up to that scene at the end of the second episode, you know.
Yep.
But man, that moment though, that where you realize how much Wanda is in charge of everything, was when she rushed out to the street and she saw the beekeeper crawling out of the sewer, and she just like dead serious, no. And then rewound time. But I liked Alex's theory on that, is the whole concept of like being, you know, domed in or something, was that AIM or whoever is trying to get to her, and they couldn't get through the dome, or, you know, whatever, you know, I in my head I see a dome, but they tried to tunnel up underneath. So it's almost kind of like as soon as they cross into Wanda's world, they shift into her reality, which, you know, if they were wearing a modern hazmat suit, like a hazmat suit or something, you know, that was the closest interpretation to it. And it was that moment where, you know, he crawled up underneath it, that she realized the outside world was breaking into her world. She was like, I'm not having that. No. And just all of time within there rewound for her, and she restarted everything from, you know, the moment where her and Vision were together. Now, like, that was powerful.
When I first saw that, before it changed colors and she, you know, snapped everything back, was she still pregnant?
No, it wasn't until the second time around.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't until the second time around, because it was like the moment was interrupted by the loud clanking sound.
Okay. Gotcha. I noticed a lot of thing too. If you notice any of the if you've watched some of these old shows, a lot of the humor was from that era too. I mean,
oh my God, yeah.
Typical kind of cheesy humor from that era.
Oh God, yes. even going so far as is, I absolutely love their neighbor, Agnes, which was like two great little Easter eggs, because not only was Agnes, I believe it was Agnes was like the neighbor, like the meddling neighbor of like every sitcom, you know, in the 40s and 50s and 60s. Every sitcom had that one nosy neighbor.
Bewitched had one like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Krebs or something. And I didn't have to look this one up. This is how old school I am, but from Bewitched. Proud of myself for this little bit enough. Tabitha's mother on Bewitched was played by Agnes Morehead. Just putting that one out there for you. Tabitha's mother on Bewitched, Eldora, or I think it was Eldora. I can't remember her state. I can't remember
Tabitha was Sam's kid.
What's that?
Tabitha was Sam's daughter.
Oh, Sam. Yeah, I'm sorry, Samantha. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Samantha.
Yeah.
Samantha's mom's
Right.
name was Eldora, and her.
Yeah, Endora. But Endora named her.
Yeah,
I bet you read that. That's where you saw that. Yeah, because the mother of named her, and then they also had a son later on who was human.
Yeah, but I do remember that the actress's name in real life was Agnes Morehead, because I'm a child, and when I was younger, I was infantile. I just remember the name Morehead.
Oh boy.
Which luckily they didn't stick too much to the. It would have been a funny joke. They didn't stick too much to the Bewitched trope, because it would have been kind of funny if, like, mid-scene they would have changed Paul Bettany to another actor but never said anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would have been. I mean, even if it was just for a moment, if they would have changed Paul Bettany to like another actor just for like a couple scenes, and then like even Wanda catches it and she does something, but
that would have been funny. Yeah, true.
Oh my God. But no, her neighbor on the show, Agnes, I absolutely adored her because she nailed the character. That's the other thing that you really got to give props to all of the actors and actresses that were on these first two episodes is they nailed the acting style of those time periods.
Mm-hmm.
Was the
because she was like sort of like on way back to Lucille Ball's show. She was trying to portray Lucille Ball's, and they even did that like when she was wearing the when she came in with the nightgown. That was straight out of where they did that. Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they. Oh. And then I just love that her neighbor. They nailed the nosy neighbor, because like when Wanda was getting ready to prepare dinner, like she could not get her to leave the house. Like
yeah,
she would not leave.
Mm-hmm.
So is she Agatha Harkness, the mentor for Wanda?
See, I don't know, and this is where it could possibly, because Marvel's been really good about doing this before. I keep thinking back to the previews and trailers that we saw. But then you got to throw that out of your head, because Marvel's been known to do fake trailer clips and everything, Right. Because there's that moment in the trailer where they show her neighbor in color, and it looked fairly modern.
Well, that's in the next episode, probably.
I think so. Well, I don't know. It didn't have a 70s. It didn't have like a 60s or 70s feel to it, But no, I agree that I think she is going to play a bigger role in the show than just the dowdy, nosy neighbor.
I'm wondering if they're going to do a different decade every episode.
Yeah.
I think so.
It's already been released. They were talking about that already, because I already seen how because it's 70s, and then 80s has got 2 episodes, and then they round out like whatever happens.
Okay.
Yeah, 90s and in the aughts. Yeah.
The aughts.
The aughts. The 00.
Don't call it the 2000s.
Yeah.
The aughts. Okay. Never heard it called that before.
And the other Easter that I haven't seen no one really talk about was the character from Captain Marvel. She was playing the head of the talent show.
Oh yeah, the real bossy lady.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the character from Captain Marvel, the daughter.
Yeah.
Well, did anybody
okay.
notice the brooch she was wearing resembles the Doctor Strange portal?
No, I didn't
Ooh.
notice that.
I'll have to go back and check that one. I'm after we get done talking, I'm gonna go back and watch it.
Because you know how Doctor Strange would make that portal?
Yeah.
Her brooch looked like a portal. So now is she a portal to get Wanda out of this?
Ooh, interesting. I like that one.
That'd be crazy if that's how it really works. Because I can remember in a couple other like things like this, when people's minds go crazy, they send someone in and they got a mark on them, and they're the portal that gets them out of the mind trap or whatever you want to call it. You know?
Okay.
Kind of like Inception, where they had the anchor. The anchor.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, that's could be something there too.
Yeah.
Or how many of these characters are actually real people that was brought into her mind? If this like that.
Richard, my theory is I think it's everybody. I think everybody which is why you haven't seen a lot of people.
Right.
But you see so far we've only seen like a few dozen, and only a half a dozen are like the reoccurring characters.
I just remember something. I have to rewatch. What was the mailman's name?
I can't remember, but there's. I
forgot that. I should have watched that a little closer. Or did they even name him?
No. They named him because she calls him by name.
Yeah.
And then she eyeballs his butt when she walks away. She does that whole, like, yay.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it tonight. No.
Yeah.
I can scrub it to that point and then watch it.
Well, like we talked about though, it's like they put in so many Easter eggs. You want to go back and watch them again and again.
Yeah.
The one thing I noticed that completely blew my mind was the one thing that they did that they never showed in the old sitcoms was, did you notice in the one scene where they essentially showed the entirety of the interior of the house? Because one is looking in the kitchen, and as she pans around, they showed.
Oh, at the end
of
number 2.
They showed the front of the house where, in a sitcom, the camera would be here looking into the living room. But they showed, it was like the one and only time they showed the front.
Oh, okay.
Of the interior of the house.
When they changed from black and white to color?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's something they never did in sitcoms. Is you I don't think you ever saw the
whole house.
I said, the front of the house. Yeah, like where the like you always saw the back of the TV set. You never saw the walls or the windows or everything.
Mm-hmm. That is true. Yeah.
I did like they touched on the old joke from the old sitcoms where when Vision was at work and he's like, what do we do? What do we make? Well, we process data. Yes, but for what? It was like that thing in the old sitcoms, it's like, well, we know he works here, but what do they do?
They mentioned that in Friends once with Chandler. I think Ross or somebody asked Chandler, was like, what do you do? I have to get this thingy here. It was very similar.
Yeah. But I like that. And the old trope of, having to impress the boss. And, I'm just enamored with the fact that they got Kitty. You can't have for me, you couldn't have a sitcom spoof without the mom from that 70s show.
She's iconic now, right?
Oh, yeah. Like anything, I've seen her in a few other things, but every time she's in something, I just think it's Kitty. even it's even so bad that when I go back and I watch like the very first RoboCop, I can't see anything but Red Foreman now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When I see Clarence Bodicker, I don't see Clarence Bodicker. I see Red Foreman, and I just need him to call RoboCop a dumbass.
Are there a lot of other actors that way too? Like we always going to think Iron Man is, Robert Downey Jr. He's always Iron Man.
Yeah, there's always going to be a few.
Mm-hmm.
But man, yeah, that show was a great deal to unpack. And like I said, we mentioned earlier, I'm really glad that they did the first 2 episodes together, because if they'd have just put the first one, it was a great episode, but I don't know if it was enough to have pulled everybody, that was, on the wall about watching it in. There wasn't really any.
Well, like I said, my first gut reaction was it was a little slow in the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it, but you didn't really get any oh, hey, wait, what's going on here until the very last 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And you kind of want to watch the next one. Good enough. Hey, here's the second one. So
yeah. I think that's probably why they put the 2 out together, like you was saying.
Yeah.
It and then it gave us like an hour for the people who wants a full hour of Marvel or whatever,
Because it was like you were saying, Richard. I think we've conditioned ourselves, like we talked about. The half-hour mark is really good, because why do 2 half-hour episodes when they could have just made 1 full hour episode? And it's just like people's brains have been conditioned, like, oh, hour 2. It's like we won't watch a 4-hour movie, but we'll binge a 6-hour series. You know what I mean?
Like Disenchantment last night. I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning and I almost all out.
I'm more than guilty of it too, where if I'm on Amazon or something, like that movie's 2.5 hours long, forget it. I'm gonna watch the entire run of Hogan's Hero,
Yeah, exactly.
Or watch 8 hours of this.
I've actually watched Gone with the Wind presented as it was originally was presented in the theater. And I even saw Dr. Zhivago in the theater.
How long was that? I mean, the length of the movie.
3-something, almost 4 hours.
Wow.
And then I've seen 2001: Space Odyssey a couple different times in the theater. They even have a break. So
real quick, Richard, it's a little off topic, but you're going to appreciate the segue, because when you said Gone with the Wind, something else I recommend watching if you haven't watched it yet, it's on Netflix, is The History of Curse Words.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that was so amazing. That was so good. But because when you mentioned Gone with the Wind, like every episode they focus on a particular swear word, and like one of the last episodes was damn. And everybody that was you could tell it was shot currently, because everybody was satellite location, but everybody was like, why the hell are we even talking about this word? But it was really important because of Gone with the Wind, because Gone with the Wind was the first time cinematically they were allowed to say the word damn. And Nicolas Cage was going through, there was an actual list of alternatives that they were going to use if they couldn't say, the iconic phrase, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. And they were so horrible. It was like, frankly, my dear, I don't give 2 spits, or frankly, my dear, I don't give a gosh, But no, if you get a chance to watch that one, make sure there's no kids around, because especially the first episode is the F word, and they don't hold back from it. The show is about the F word. They're going to say the F word.
Yeah.
But that's a recommendation I have.
I let my daughter watch a little bit. Now my daughter's 14 now. Okay. My daughter's 14.
Oh, she's heard those words.
Yeah, well, exactly. She's heard him before, but I wouldn't let my son watch him. She's listening to these people talk about the F words. She's cracking up. It's like, yeah, true. It's funny. But the one thing, if you're going to watch that series, each episode is only like 20 minutes long.
Yeah. Yeah. But WandaVision definitely brought the heat. WandaVision was for me, it was everything that I'd been looking forward to since they first announced Disney Plus, and they first announced the shows that were going to be on Disney Plus. It hit it out of the park for me. Speaking of streaming services, Richard, I know you were excited when you heard this news about, what was it, HBO Max? A certain movie with some giant monsters that's not getting delayed. It's getting moved up. I read that and I'm like, Richard is probably
I already posted
ecstatic.
it. I think I posted it like 5 minutes after they announced
Oh,
it.
Okay, I missed this. What's this? Is it Godzilla versus King Kong? We're assuming.
Kong. Yeah, Godzilla versus Kong. They're not calling him king because this is the match to determine who is king.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But
this was in theaters, I'm assuming, and then it's going to go straight to HBO Max, right?
No, same day, just like Wonder Woman.
same day.
Yeah, everything
okay.
everything from Warner's Brothers library this year is going to be released on HBO Max the same day it's released in theaters, and only for 30 days or 31 days, whatever it is. It's
a couple of weeks or something.
30 days after, and then it leaves HBO Max. Can still stay in the theater, and then a couple weeks after that, they have the digital distribution, like on Amazon, Apple, and stuff like that, where you can buy it, and then the Blu-ray comes out 3 weeks later, 2 weeks later, whatever that window is. But they announced this new window because Legend was really upset about this because like 3 or 4 of their movies it was part of that deal, and they didn't know nothing about it. Warner Brother just went out and announced it because like Mortal Kombat is the same way, and Dune, and I don't remember what the 4th one of their series that Legendary did, because Legendary isn't really part of Warner Brothers, but they have a deal to make all these films, and Warner Brother, because like Legendary has distribution rights for Godzilla and Kong overseas, where Warner Brother doesn't have to lose for over there. They only have domestic, so that's why they're releasing it like they are, so they can get as much money as they can from domestic release.
I'm telling you, I mean, with the way the world is right now, I mean, it's really hurting the movie theaters, but at least places like HBO Max are they're adapting, they're evolving,
Warner Brothers as a whole, because they had to this year, or at least they said they had to, and that really messed up like James Bond's schedule because they were trying to sell it and they couldn't get the money they wanted for it. This was like MGM. I don't think it's part of Sony. It's just MGM, however they're doing it now, but it got even pushed back even further now, and like Paramount's with the Mission Impossible has been really thrown off because of all.
There's been a lot of upheaval around the Mission Impossible release. That one,
So it's we'll have to wait and see. And luckily, like they're saying, Deadpool has been pushed back because they can't get started on that right away because of what's his name's contracts. He's got like 2 other movies he's working on because he's got that deal with Netflix. So I think the Deadpool pushed back and won't even start until 2022. So these Marvel stuff is really going to be pushed back, because Disney's going to have to adapt and catch up is all I can think.
Because what was the big announcement? What was it yesterday or the day before? Netflix made the announcement that there was going to be a new movie like every week. 2021. Because the very first one they showed The Rock, Gal Gadot, and Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
Or it's going to be one of the first movies that get released.
Well, there's an interesting question for you guys. I mean, how many streaming services do you guys have? Because right now I have all the big ones, which is Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, and HBO Max. I'm thinking, okay, do I need all those? I mean, I like them all, but it's like the more they keep adding, I can't afford to have all these.
Yeah. Me and Richard have talked about this. It's horrible because it seems like every service has at least 1 or 2 big pulls that's just enough to keep me hooked. I've got Netflix, I have Hulu, HBO Max, Amazon, but that's just because I order because
I hardly watch anything on
Amazon. And then Disney Plus and HBO Go. And it's just like there's 1 or 2 of like every, like for Netflix, Witcher, Stranger Things, Disenchantment, which you mentioned. I can't wait to go stream the next one. But then Hulu's the only one right now that seems to be kind of lagging when it comes to movie content. I usually keep Hulu because they're the ones that get the network series. Like Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, the shows like that, like The Day After or something, and then.
Well, that's the original Fox contract with Hulu.
Yeah.
Because Disney now owns Hulu because they bought out Fox and gained the upper hand, but Warner Brothers still has a piece of it, and someone else still has a piece. But they're trying to get most of that unwound, so Disney will take Hulu over totally, because that's how they got it all, so they can integrate it with that package deal where you buy Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN.
Yeah.
Because they own everything, and then ABC is part of that mix somehow too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, I figure ABC will be more or less like Hulu pretty soon, and that'll be more like that network, because they're trying to intertwine all, because like FX, they got all their stuff on Hulu now, because they got that deal, because with them owning that, they moved it over and stuff like that. So that's what's happening with Hulu. It's in a stage where it's growing again.
Yeah.
They just don't have as much content right at the moment, because Disney's trying to capitalize on it on their own platform, and then supposedly it's just how, well, it's like I always said, how CW and the CW Seed, you can almost watch everything right together. It's almost like it's like one app, even though it's actually two apps.
Yeah.
That's what I figure is going to happen with Disney and Hulu. You'll be able to do some of the stuff right there and then just go right over. That's just like when DC Universe folded, all that stuff went to HBO Max.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or at least some of the contracts. They had other stuff. That's funny how some content can be released out and go somewhere else and so forth, because you're watching something and say, wait, that's Universal. Why is it on here, not on like Peacock or something,
Like Avatar and Korra is on Netflix,
right?
But it's also on CBS All Access, right? I think it is.
I know.
No, I think it's just Netflix.
No, they have some of it on CBS Access, because that's part of the Paramount deal. Because Paramount, CBS, Nickelodeon, comedy, all that is under the Paramount umbrella now, because Paramount and CBS merged back together.
Mm-hmm.
That got the Star Trek license.
Now, you see, that's the one thing I have not bought into with CBS All Access. Even though I'd like to see Star Trek, it's like, I got enough about the other ones. I'll catch up on it later.
That's what I'm going to end up doing, because me and Richard talked about this. I love the first 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery, and I'm probably going to end up waiting until the series is made its run, and then do the 7-day free trial and just binge it all.
It is done, Mike. So whenever.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it finished 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
so it's all done now.
I gotta go, guys.
No. Season 3. Season 3 is done.
Season 3.
Yeah. The season finale was phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. So I have CBS All Access because I like my Paramount stuff, because like you have like Indiana Jones and stuff like that, because they even had their own Paramount channel like on Spectrum therefore, and then it's also an app that's free, or not free. If you have like Spectrum, you can plug in your stuff, because that's what I liked about like the Universal stuff. If you have a cable like access key, because you have a subscription to the cable, you can plug those in and watch more content. Like on Sci-Fi, you can pick up more content than what's free if you have a cable access.
Yep.
Because I have a cable access, and I have Disney Plus right at the moment, and I'm getting rid of CBS Plus, trying to, but it won't let me discontinue my service. I'm really getting turb. I've tried 3 times to discontinue, and it keeps saying it won't let me. But I know my subscription don't end until the 30th of this month, so I'm not too worried yet. But yeah, they got me really. The last episode of the Star Trek Discovery was in the new month.
Oh, son of a bitch. They did that on purpose.
Yeah, probably.
Oh.
Yeah, when I signed up for Disney Plus, I knew I would like all the stuff on Disney Plus. I think it was September of 2019. They had this Labor Day weekend. They had this special for people. Hey, you can buy 3 years for this amount of money.
Yeah.
So I went out and bought that. So now I'm only paying a certain amount. I don't pay all at once, obviously, but you divide that by so many months for 3 years. now I'm thinking, when that expires, okay, I think I'm still going to want Disney Plus because I really like Disney Plus. And they have a lot of content. You know?
They do have a lot of content, but Disney Plus better get off their ass because without the Mandalorian to bring people back every single week,
mm-hmm.
or
WandaVision.
Yeah.
Oh, they're already starting to set it up, so as soon as one gets done, another one starts, and it's going to be there's either going to be a Marvel or a Star Wars on at all time.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a new something every week because they already said that, because at the big Disney conference thing, they said they will have something out every single week so that if you have Disney Plus.
I wonder if they planned that since they knew what happened last year. They kind of just hoarded a lot of things and like, hey, in 2021, we're going to keep them. So, you know what I mean? We're releasing everything in 2021.
Yeah. They were smart enough to know that nobody's going anywhere. They're going to be at home.
Mm-hmm.
We got to give them something to watch.
Exactly.
Well, some that was production delay. I know the series got delayed because they couldn't finish. Because when March rolled here, everything in Hollywood just shut down.
Yeah.
And they couldn't finish because they had to come back.
Not everything. There were a lot of animation shows that still kept going.
But we're talking the Marvel series of animation. They just because they had to finish up the last. They only had like 2 or 3 episodes left of WandaVision when that all happened. Same as with they were just starting production on Falcon and Winter Soldier, so that had to get back up, and that's why it got delayed because it got pushed back. So
it even happened for the CW with the final season of Supernatural. It got pushed back because of COVID.
All of those DC stuff got pushed back because they couldn't finish, and a lot of them got rewritten because they couldn't finish.
I heard The Flash, and I haven't seen last season's Flash yet, but I heard last season's Flash was supposed to be like 20, 21 episodes. It ended up only being 17 episodes.
Yep.
Because
they lost 3 episodes,
Because the other thing, too, is a lot of those shows, especially Supernatural, are filmed in, like, Vancouver, Canada. And, Canada ain't playing no games when it comes to this COVID stuff. They're like, no. So they had,
that affected Hallmark Channel and all their movies.
Oh my God,
they're all filmed up there too.
Oh yeah, on the same. Like
we all know if you've seen one Hallmark special, you've probably seen them all, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying for production wise,
right.
And that's just like I watched live every morning with with Kelly and Ryan, and her husband is up there, and they can't even see each other because he can't fly home or she can't fly up there because they have to be quarantined for 14 days before they even go out. So
wow.
Another great example of that is, speaking of Netflix, I was watching this last season of Bear With Me. It was the Great British Bake Off. And I like shows like that anyways, but I watched this season mostly because the 2 hosts of the show, like I don't want to say the host, but like the hosts of the show were 2 British comedians that I absolutely adore. Noel Fielding and Matt. It was the bald guy from Doctor Who. I can't think of his name, but it was Noel Fielding from the Mighty Boosh and Matt from Doctor Who. And I love both of them as comedians. But the way they filmed it was filmed during COVID, was this elaborate stage outside. The kitchen was not set at a stage. It was like under a tent. But they showed not only were all of the contestants, the 2 celebrity hosts, the 2 celebrity judges, all of the cast and crew were quarantined on this farm in campers and trailers and everything. Because like the last episode, they brought the entire cast and crew out, and all of these people had been quarantined for 2 weeks before filming started. They did the filming. They brought everybody out. And like during this entire time, like the cast and crew and all the contestants, they were there. So they had to communicate with their family over like Skype and Zoom and everything. But it was it was a big production, and it was impressive that they went through with it like they did. So yeah, I mean, that's just for a baking TV show. Imagine, for a high budget sci-fi drama or a movie, where there's
Or even
hundreds.
sports. Sports did the same thing. I know, like the WNBA, they all played in the same arena. All the teams, and I think they're doing the same thing with some of the other sports too, where they're limiting the exposures and stuff like that.
Yep.
Speaking of exposure and stuff, I'm just curious. I mean, I know it's kind of a tiny little bit off topic, but I'm just wondering, when the vaccine comes out, are you? To me, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to wait just a little bit to see how many people react to it. But yes, I want to get it. I have important things to go with people to do.
Well, the way I figure it, by the time normal people like us have access to it, it's already. We already know that most of a lot of government officials have got it. First responders have gotten it. So, yeah, I figure by the time it reaches down to us, if anybody's going to grow a third arm or a third eye,
well, our other friend Frank, he grew his third nipple, so
yeah.
Okay.
He on his Facebook page that his nipple was tweaking. How did he do it? Did you read his post? Because he's a healthcare worker, so he got his shot right away. And he was talking about how his nipple was tingling. He got a third one the next day.
Yeah.
I that's why I'm like, okay, I want to wait just a little bit, but I definitely want to get it because I want to go to cons. I want to go to other places. I want to promote my stuff. So it's like, I want to get back to normal. That's why, yes, I'm okay with getting it.
It's still not going to be normal, but that's
close to normal as possible.
Yeah.
But another thing we got to talk about today. You know what? Today, being January the 16th, is the third and fourth act of Johnny Mnemonic is taking place right as we do this show.
Yep.
The act 4 of the movie from 1984. It takes place on January the 16th, 2021.
Yep. No, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah. I was just, wow.
And it's so crazy. I watched it again because it's on Amazon Prime, right? So I watched it. And the only reason I had to go back and rewatch a couple of things to make sure I had the date right, because I knew it was 2021, but he hacked into the hotel he was staying at, and it said it was January the 15th. So that was the day when he was over in Beijing, because they were writing in Beijing, and they had masks on. It was weird because all of the computer equipment, all the electronic stuff was causing people to have this like epileptic seizure. Yeah. And that was the whole premise, it was electronics. And then he had the cure stuck in his head because he had this cybernetic implant that was part of his head. And that's how he transported the data out of Beijing back to Newark.
Yeah. And the funny thing, I'm pretty sure he had a implant of 20 gigs. I mean, 20 gigs is nothing now.
Yeah, it wasn't much. And then the whole internet thing was crazy because he had to put on these goggles to go onto the internet, and it was faxed. They had it incorporated into the internet. That's how you did the data input, because you could take like pictures and input it in this fax machine to send it through the internet. That's how they thought faxes were going to be incorporated. And then he was in there with all this one stuff, and then they had the low tech guys, Ice-T, right?
Ice-T, yeah.
Yeah, his guys in there doing stuff. It was crazy,
Yeah.
The one cool thing I really loved about that movie was the fingernail laser thing.
Oh, yeah.
That was an awesome looking weapon. It would slice something off real quick.
Yeah, it was like a lightsaber that could bend around people's heads because they were decapitating people's heads.
Exactly. That was a cool weapon.
Oh man!
So we got to play homage to that since it's taking place basically as we're doing this episode.
I'm gonna want to go see that movie now tonight.
Yeah. Real quick before we wrap everything up. Speaking of future stuff, I wanted to mention last week and this week was the release of DC Comic Books' call it mini series or whatever, but the future state, Richard,
Right.
it's not good. I picked up. It's supposed to be kind of like a alternate reality, like a different dimension, alternate reality take on.
Aren't they doing like the Omniverse now, where it's like any story can be told now, right? In DC,
Yeah,
any writer can. Right.
That was like the end result of the whole death metal, dark metal, was that like the entire Omniverse in DC is completely opened up again. The one takeaway that I did get from it that I thought was cool is when they were kind of monitoring the new Omniverse or the multiverse, Richard, was that their universe, the DC universe, their Earth was not the center of the universe anymore.
Oh, wow.
Because remember, that was how they always kind of explained why there was like so many Green Lanterns.
Right. Yeah.
For 20, because it was, our universe was that they said it's not the center of the universe anymore. But
well, it used to be the Prime universe was the center of the whole universe. And that was actually our universe where we lived and we read the comic books.
Yeah,
that was the center. Then you had Earth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, S, H, down the line, IT, all down the.
But no, the future state books, man, they were not good. Well, they hyped them up like it was future state, like it was going to be set in the future.
It was just 5 years, wasn't it?
Well, a couple of them seemed like it was the future, like the Superman, which would be Jonathan Kent, Superboy. Okay. Man,
did you see the April releases coming up? They got the Sons back. Super Sons are back.
Yes.
Younger, like a continuation from where they left off.
Good, because Jonathan Kent and Damian Wayne together. Dude, I would put down a Batman and Superman comic book to pick those two up. Man, I love the two of them together. And that whole mishigosh they did in the last couple of years where Jonathan aged, he's like in his late teens now. It was just, oh man, it was such great books. But I'm going to be honest with you. I was even talking to the guys at the comic book store today. Future State missed the mark. Because like Alex said, he goes, it's not a jumping off point for new readers at all, because there's still enough kind of like backstory in each book that you would be lost if you picked it up. It's not for old readers because it's a complete jumble that doesn't make any sense. It's definitely a miss. So if anybody out there,
I think what they're going to do, like I was saying, down the road is anybody's going to be able to do anything. And it doesn't matter if it's going to be continuity together. You're supposed to look at these as being the jumping off point to the old world, and the new Omniverse is going to take off. Because like the new Flash they're getting, he's from Earth, what is it, Earth 22 or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, so it's going to be all stories throughout this whole new Omniverse. So
yeah.
I haven't read. Of course, I did so good last year. I didn't buy one mainstream book. I only supported indie publishers.
There you go.
Speaking of indies, if you follow me on Twitter, I've been doing a lot of basically, hey, check out this Kickstarter, or hey, check out this other people. Because on Twitter, I can schedule posts with a tweet deck. Oh, yeah. So I like, it started at 8 a.m. and it's like I post a comic or post something else, and it's like maybe 2 or 3 times a day. Hey, check out this Kickstarter. So I can simply schedule it, and then maybe later on my phone just add something to it. But the more content you put out, the more, and I found that more people that I'm following or people follow me kind of share the stuff like, oh, that's a cool indie comic, I'm going to share that too, the more stuff gets out,
And go ahead, Frank. Tell us all about Tricana for a few minutes. I mean,
I didn't come here to talk about
it. But you still got to promote your book. So.
Well, I know, but it's like it was fun to actually talk to you guys about something else besides Tricana,
Oh, like I told Richard, I go anymore. Me and Richard, we talked about, we've been doing this show for so long, but here, especially the last year, this right here is less about content for other people, but just it's just like I need to talk to Richard, turn the camera on, and just this is my therapy right here. Is like I need to talk comic books to somebody.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I was telling Richard before that like I'm on TikTok now, and I'm trying to make little cartoon reviews on TikTok, and this is gonna sound really kind of silly, but I posted a meme on TikTok, and it's basically about 4 different cartoons that all have a great ending. And it's funny, I'm making these videos about cartoon reviews. They're getting like, I don't know, 50, 60, 100, maybe 300 views. That one meme got close to 10,000 views.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's the
what?
it's the attention span. It's just like, oh, 2 minutes? I can't watch that. But oh, meme? Oh, I'm in.
It's memes. They're like 10 seconds. I'm 10 seconds long. And it's like people are reacting to it. And it's like, I'm blown away. And that small little tiny meme got me some more subscriber or more followers. I don't quite have 100 followers on TikTok, but I'm adding a new video every day if I can. And they're only a minute long. Yeah. So it takes me less than 20 minutes to make a video real quick. And I got to figure out how to make the video up and down as opposed to wide like this, because this is for, TV or for your computer or something. Because on TikTok, they're all...
Yeah, that's like Instagram. Yeah, because Mike and me tried to get on IGTV. We were doing
I was going to put on something on there too, but apparently they don't do that anymore. They took it away, I think.
No, it's still there, but just no one's really taking advantage of it. Okay. It just didn't work the way they thought it was. Well, I think what happened was TikTok hit the scene. Now Instagram created their own version of TikTok. That's called Reels.
Yes, exactly.
So you make your own 15-second Reels, because I've been doing those, because my one on the Atari 2600's birthday has been watched like 10,000 times.
But the cool thing is, when you get somebody to like your videos or like your post like that, then you can like, hey, maybe they'll follow me for other content, which leads to eventually making the video about Terracana.
Yeah.
And you would, Michael, you had mentioned that you guys were doing your show, and you were asking, we got to have him on sometime. I had a call a few weeks ago. Okay, it was I can't say who it was with, because I don't know. There's no non-disclosure agreement attached to it, but I don't want people calling him up and saying, hey, can you give me the same advice he did? You know what I mean? So I'm going to try and keep his name out of it, but he does have a cartoon on Netflix. He's been on definitely a lot of different other shows doing voiceover work. And I think he's produced another cartoon. But the whole point is he gave me some kind of free advice, talking like an hour and a half. And he generally told me his show that's on Netflix, and he knows somebody else at Netflix. If he were to say, hey, your show, your idea is great, but it has to be, because he said it has to be like way up here for him to vouch for me to go to Netflix. Mine is like right here right now. It's not quite there. It's kind of close. He said there's a lot of following. You have comics, you have books, you have people doing artwork. It's just there's some things that have to change about it yet. It's not quite there, but he also said keep in mind, just because I vouch for you and I say, okay, yes, it's up to here. It's great. Your pitch might get direct. Because apparently his show that's on Netflix was pitched 3 times to this network. They rejected it 3 times. On the 4th time, it came to fruition and it became a show. So just because he vouches for me, just because it's up here, and just because hey, let me try and pitch it to the network, doesn't mean it's going to be there right away. But I look at this as the door is cracked open. It's not perfectly open. Hey, come on in. But it's cracked. Okay, I got to make a couple of changes.
The door's not shut, and the deadlock's not shut anymore. It's,
as you said with WandaVision, it's like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That's the goal, is to make it into a cartoon and to make it into an animated series. But if there's a light at the end of the tunnel, it's like, oh, okay, that's what I got to do. Okay, I'll do some more of that. I'll change this.
Just as long as it's not a red lightsaber like the meme.
I have a new comic coming out in April. It's comic number 4. It's called Fighting Blind. It's going to be the largest or the most pages comic I've ever written so far, which is 36 pages. It's a sort of continuation from comic number 3. And it's gonna be, I'm gonna put it out in April, and you can. I'm read a new blog about it probably later on this week, and kind of give people a preview. I'm posting it on Facebook and stuff. Like here's the cover and that kind of thing. But I'm also working on another comic coming out in October. So,
right on.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep like a couple of people have told me, just because there's a pandemic going, and just because I'm not going to cons and selling a lot, keep the content coming.
Yeah.
You know? So the story keeps going.
Yeah,
that's the whole idea. And yeah, as you said before, Richard, I didn't know that Jesse was doing his Gem City Comic Con in June.
July.
July.
Third week. Yeah, he just announced it like Thursday or Friday ago. Yeah.
Now, is that going to be at the same place it always is?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he signed the contracts. He's ready to go. So.
All right. And that's that. I think I've read from a couple of people who are in medical field and stuff. Summertime is like, but by fall we should be back kind of to normal. It's the spring. Like I have another con coming up in late May. I'm like, should I go to that or not?
Yeah.
But I've already paid for it, and right now they're still doing it. I think it's like the Cherry Capital Comic Con in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like I asked him about it, and it's like, okay, if he changes it, great, I'll still go. But it's like,
Yeah.
I want to go because I was really kind of excited to go last year, but I guess I'm wondering, okay, if I do go, how many other people are going to go to these cons? Because that's the whole idea is to get people and traffic coming.
Yeah.
By the fall, people are going to be wanting to go out. I have a feeling.
Here's your here's your website. I got a little thing for you.
Yeah, Turkana.com. The third, matter of fact, it's over now, but during the Christmas time, I was telling people that they could go there and read all 3 comics for free, just like a little Christmas gift online, like a comic. But since it's Christmas is over, that's over with now. You can still read samples of the comics though, and like another one coming out in October. I'm sorry, April. That's comic number 4. And matter of fact, let me hang on a second. I'll show you the cover here. Give me a second. Boom. Oop, wrong one. Wrong folder. Boom.
Oh, I have that nightmare. That's why I do mine on the phone. I don't touch anything in the computer. It's like, oh, let me bring this folder up. Oh, wrong folder. Oh.
Yeah, share screen. Share screen. Boom. Boom. Hopefully this will pop up there now. All right. That is the cover to comic number 4.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. And comic number 3, we find out that Turkana, it can't be mind controlled, okay? But her friends can. Turkana is an alien. Turkana's from outer space. She's not from around here. So she can't be mind controlled, but her friend can. And comic number 3, this guy, he's like 7 foot whatever, and he has a snake around his neck, and he has these powers where he can mind control if he looks into your eyes. Well, Brittany figured out that if I blindfold myself, you can't mind control me. So that's what she does. She blindfolds herself, and she then the villain Burmese comes to the school. So it's not reminiscent of things that happen at school, because the whole thing kind of gets over with it real quick. But we also have another character that I kind of put in the background, but I'm kind of pulling her up out of the background now. She's on the top corner right there. Her name is Maya, and she has this ability where if she meditates, she can, kind of see the whole world, and she concentrates on one person, like she concentrates on Brittany. She can kind of be her eyes since she's blindfolded. So she kind of, oh, hey, look out to your left. Look out to your right. She can't control them. It's not like a mind control thing. She can kind of get in their heads, kind of like, your conscience telling you, oh, don't go to the left. That could be Maya.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a simple little power, and plus you can talk to animals too. But we found out more about that later. And I brought her up in book 2 a long time ago, Dr. Kuna Banana Gun. But she hasn't been kind of in the background ever since. So, but yeah, this is another one where she comes and she's more valuable than we thought she was. So, But yeah, that'll come out in April. Comic number 4. And hopefully the guys, maybe you'll have guys, and we'll have me back in April, and we'll do a little, premiere of it or something.
There you go. So, Frank, thanks for joining us. We got we showed the website Terracana or Takana. I say things wrong.
That's okay.
Rich, you want to remind everybody where they can find us at?
You can find us at undergroundvideonetwork.com, and you can find all our social links there. And we are now streaming the audio on Spotify. So the audio,
okay.
Besides the original Apple's podcast. So
now, will this video be on YouTube as well?
Yes, it's already streaming to YouTube.
Okay.
So we actually stream live to both Facebook, or all 3: Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube now.
Okay.
Twitch was just tonight. This is the first time we actually streamed to Twitch. And then the audio is through TalkShoe, which is then on Apple's podcast and Spotify's podcast. So,
well, I really asked about YouTube because this way I can share the link and just put that on Twitter, put it on Facebook, everywhere else, and watch the video. So.
Yep. So, on behalf of Richard Katterjohn, myself, again, Frank, thanks for joining us. We hope that everybody is staying safe and you're keeping yourselves occupied. Hopefully, we'll be able to get together again soon and talk about the future episodes of WandaVision, and hopefully more stuff to come. So, it's that point in the show, Richard, where you get ready for it, because I'm going to hear the double click. Richard, press the button.